Select the appropriate sequential order for the stages involved in the data lifecycle within a cloud environment. Option A, create, use, store, share, archive, destroy. Option B, create, archive, store, share, use, destroy. Option C, create, store, use, archive, share, destroy. Option D, create, store, use, share, archive, destroy. All right, let's take a look at the question here. We're being asked to identify the correct order for the stages involved in the data lifecycle within a cloud environment. Okay, the key thing to remember here is what is the logical process. The first thing we need to do is create data. So that leaves us with options A, B, and D. Then, once we've created that data, we're usually going to store it. So that gives us options A and D. Option B is already eliminated, as after creation, it goes to archive, which is a later stage. Now, after we've stored the data, we need to use it. So that leaves us with options A. But option D tells us to share it first, which makes sense because we might need to share it before we use it. Then we might share the data with colleagues, so that leaves us with options A. But option D tells us to archive it, which is a later stage. Then, after we've shared the data, we typically want to use it again, so that leaves us with options A. But option B tells us to destroy it, which is a final stage. And finally, the last stage is generally destruction, so that leaves us with option A. But option B tells us to archive it, which is a later stage. Now, we can also think about the process logically. We create the data, we store it, we use it, we share it, we archive it, and finally,
this question focuses on the standardized stages of managing information in the cloud. Think about the progression of data from its inception, where it is first generated, through the various ways it is handled throughout its operational life, until it is no longer needed and must be securely removed. Understanding this life cycle is critical because each phase may involve different security controls and compliance requirements to ensure data integrity and confidentiality. In my view, the correct answer is option D, create, store, use, share, archive, destroy. This sequence follows the industry-standard cloud data lifecycle model. It begins with the creation or ingestion of data, followed by the storage phase where it is persisted. Once stored, the data is put to use, then shared with authorized parties, eventually moved to long-term cold storage during the archive phase, and finally purged during the destroy phase. The other options are incorrect because they disrupt this logical workflow. For instance, you cannot realistically archive data before you have even stored or used it. Keeping this specific order in mind is very important for certification exams, as you will likely be tested on the security responsibilities associated with each unique stage of this lifecycle.